Hi, welcome back to Initializing AI, and here we are on our third episode. Once again, we have Mayuresh Krishna, the CTO and co founder of initializ.ai, with us, and welcome back. This is, of course, a virtual version, unfortunately. but yeah, how have you been?
I'm great, Inakshi, and it's great to talk to you again. We'll do in person again soon, but let's not wait for it, right? I'm excited to talk to you again, and I'm excited about the topic which you're going to talk today.
Well, Initialize has been up to a lot, right? Like I recently saw a post about like this product sprint, and yeah, that sounded like a hoot, like the pictures and the vibe. So, how was that experience?
That was pretty awesome. Like we did almost a week long all nighter. I wouldn't say all nighter, but late nighter sort of sprint because we were launching our AI assistants and the agentic workflow on our platform. So now with that sprint, we have launched the beta version of AI assistants on our platform, and we're working through getting the agentic workflow out there. We actually were burning some midnight oil to get our assistant product out of the door. It's essentially easy to use, 3-click billing assistants on top of our AI platform. So essentially, we have kind of further gone up the chain of AI layers to be able to create value for our customers, where they can go uh, from an idea to working autonomous agents and assistants in a few clicks and get it production ready and run it at scale.
We were talking about agentic AI and all those related things. And in fact, even Salesforce put out a post, right, related to that, how
Yep.
they were discussing about how AI helps companies improve their productivity. So along those lines, what else do you think an agentic AI tool can help? Like, what are the different kinds of AI agents that are out there?
If you really think of it, uh, not all agents are same, right? So there are
Yeah.
multiple kind of variations of it. Think of it as you have the constructs of assistants, you have the construct of agents, and you also have construct of copilots. And even within agents, you have different kinds of agents and different kind of assistants. The simple way to say is between assistant agents and copilots. Copilots is like works alongside with you. It's more of like a bit of passive sort of construct that you, as you're working through the systems, you would ask some questions and ask it to do some things. That's like a copilot experience. Assistants can be semi-autonomous or autonomous kind of a workflow where either you ask it to do something, it will do the entire workflow for you, or it could be completely autonomous and an end-to-end workflow with this, which is going to execute on its own based on what it is set for. And you can think of it, agents are individual, you can say autonomous execution constructs. So an assistant can be built off a workflow of agents which are doing things autonomously. And you can choose to build the entire agentic workflow completely autonomous where no human input is even required. So that's how I would kind of differentiate between copilots versus assistants versus agents.
Right. And amongst these, like, how do you figure out the context in which you need it? Like, these are three different uses, yes, but the same enterprise might want to employ like a particular agentic AI tool.
So what I would say is that I think we are in the era where you have to go beyond Copilot. So we're working towards going towards a completely autonomous workflows. Think of it as agents and assistants are almost like your workers. Copilot is your working partner, but you're almost getting to a point where in the industry, you need these autonomous workers to do the work for you. And again, it's not about like AI and agents are going to take the job from people, but it's more of it's primarily going to do the job which nobody wants to do, right? There are a lot of things which nobody wants to or takes a lot of cumbersome time to do. Those things can be automated and made autonomous through things like agent and agentic workflow. So in my mind, so it's from an organization perspective, you're kind of going towards more of agentic workflow and assistants, and copilots will become almost like a smaller use case in the industry.
And if you had to describe an assistant in, like, say, one sentence, what would you say? Like, we have talked a lot about Copilots till now, but I was wondering, like, how would you describe an assistant, and what exactly is its key function?
Think of it like it's almost like Jarvis, right?
And once
And
again, we are back to Jarvis.
Yeah, so it's pretty much like Jarvis. Like you have defined workflows of different goals. A set of agents will take action on based on what you ask it to do, and will go ahead and do it. Uh, and in some scenarios, you might not even have to ask Jarvis to do something; it will just automatically do it for you. That's like a very simple example of it's an autonomous agent working for you, even when you're sleeping. That's the whole. To an extent, like how is it different than automation and things what we have done in the past? The primary difference is the construct of generative AI, and what I mean by that is when you built automation systems back, and it would do the work even when you're sleeping. Those goals and tasks and integrations were very tight in a sense that it will only do what it is coded to do. With the agents, it has the construct of where it can try to do the things, understand what's happening, and being able to do new things as well, which you have not really actually coded it for. In the sense of you've not typed coded it for, you've not coded it for just making one API call. It can actually, in the natural language, interact with multiple different systems. Again, I'm not saying that it can go and integrate with anything, because you don't want that from security perspective either. But it can work within the realm of access you provide to it. It can autonomously figure out how to interact with these different systems and take action and make its goal happen. So that's the difference between the automation of the past versus what we're trying to do with these autonomous agents.
Yeah, that was very wonderfully put. Speaking of, the access that we provide, how
Mhm.
exactly would, say, an employee or someone who's using your Initializer's assistant, for example, how do
Mhm.
they know what to share and what not to share? Like, how much access should one even give to an
So,
assistant?
one, humans are sharing with themselves. Humans are sharing
Yeah.
with humans. That itself is like essentially uh, step one is humans are generally are cognizant of what to share and what not to share. Like, and if even if they do, like in general, if you're going and sharing your credit card number with a stranger, great, you can do the same thing with agents as well. So that's one common sense construct which I think should apply everywhere, right? And it's not that we didn't have some sort of a bot automation before, right? You have Excel macros, you have Slack bots, which are doing things even now. So and you're sharing information with those. So it's not something which is new. It's just that because generative AI has a bit more ability to go wide in what it can try to perform, uh, people are being very cognizant about like how to do this. I'm not denying that you need to figure out how to do the access control and the RBAC policies and who can see what and what can be shared with a particular user. There are companies who kind of see it, enterprises we work with are who see it from that perspective, and there are organizations who see it from the perspective of that we need to, completely lock down AI policies so that it's hard for it to misbehave. Even humans misbehave, right?
After all, I mean, if I tell my credit card number to a person, they might forget. But say an assistant would remember it forever and bring it up wherever required. But yeah, that
There,
does make sense a lot.
when you share your credit card number with a human, they might misuse it. An agent will not misuse it. The goal is for the agent to not go rogue.
Yeah. Uh, but yeah, that does sound a lot of reassuring, knowing that there are so many guardrails and everything. However, if you think about it, the possibilities of using, like, we are not considering the misuse case anymore, like the using of an assistant, or like the extent of capabilities or things that can be accomplished by assistant, all of these are, say, like the outcomes that we want, right? But how
Yeah.
can we get there? Like, how many of those outcomes can be like achieved out of the box with initialize.ai, and what would you think is would be the input requirements from the user?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you think of it, you cannot kind of do everything out of the box, right? You have to have
Yeah.
some sort of a construct of you're able to build your certain workflow and have a system which can easily allow you to do that. And that's what we are doing with Initialize. The moment you're able to build these workflows where it understands it better than a new intern who comes in and spends days to understand your systems and knowledge bases, you already are winning with the assistant workflows.
That sounds wonderful. And I was just getting curious. Like in the last episodes, we discussed how Initializer's one goal is to, simplify the usage of AI for those who may not be familiar with tech as well. I was wondering what was the crucial need, or like say one requirement that led Initialize to go and create a product like their.
So if you think of it, Initialize was built ground up as a builder platform. We started by first optimizing the kind of the infrastructure layer to be able to run your GPU workloads, whether it's inferencing or training or just running your applications which would be consuming these models at scale in much more optimized way. From there, we went about abstracting some of the capabilities of, say, training and applying constructs around parameter efficient fine tuning, and giving the ability to be able to consume models as serverless models or serverless endpoints. The reason we started building further abstraction is the primary goal of Initialize is to simplify how somebody can consume AI. The primary target or primary mission we are on is how do we democratize building AI systems for any user, and to that gap between a data science engineer or AI engineer being able to train their models easily and run and consume serverless model easily, and then write their own Python code or Go code to or Node code, UI code to use it, to be able to go to a business user and they can do their day-to-day tasks and automate some of their day-to-day execution through an interface without having to go learn how to write a Python code. Even though you have all the code generation tools now, where you can generate all this, but for a business user or for a product user like product managers, the idea is not to. They won't be actually going all the way into building and writing code. They would want an easier way to be able to interact with the AI system and build the AI system workflows for themselves. And that's the reason we built Assistant. The goal is that the business users are able to easily consume and build AI assistants and agentic workflows on the platform, while the advanced developers and data science engineers can further go deeper down and build their own models, build their own agents using a framework, write their own custom code to build agent and integrate with our agentic workflows. That's the flexibility which we are trying to achieve with the platform. The way I go about it is like what we're trying to do with simplifying this is to become like the goal of Initialize Assistant is to become a painkiller and not a vitamin. The goal is for it to be that, and if you really think of it in the industry, it is necessary than just you know what, I'll take some vitamin C supplements. At this point, industry should be, and in fact, industry is going towards building these autonomous agentic workflows, and the ones who won't will kind of lag behind. One of the main reasons, if you think of it, is it's you have a lot of tools and automations available, right? But the fatigue of being able to do things across, like you have to go to 20 different tools to make things happen, and every persona in the industry, whether you are an engineer, whether you are a product manager, whether you're a project manager, whether you're a leader, you have to deal with like 20 different tools day to day. And the goal is that you don't need to go through these 20 different tools. You need to have some intelligent workflows which does the work for you and interacts with these different tools. And I'm not saying that those different tools are not needed. What I'm saying is that there is a better way to work with those tools than being able to do it. And that's where the assistant and agentic workflow comes in. And that's where the simplification of how to build this comes into the play for our customers, so that we can hand it to the business users, the product managers, the CIOs who can start consuming it themselves.
Right. So, what do you think sets apart an enterprise leverages such assistants versus, say, another enterprise that doesn't? When you say that if you don't leverage such AI tools, you end up lacking in something. What exactly do
Yeah.
you mean?
If you think of it, the enterprises who will use the agentic workflow constructs and assistants will be able to think faster and move faster. And the reason being is that now you're not doing things linearly. The decision making is not linear. Whether you are doing it with human trying to do a task or building automation to make it happen, you're still doing it linearly in terms of that you have to wait for a certain integration, a certain automation to happen. And then when you have something new, you have to go build it again. The goal of assistants and agentic workflow is that now you are multi-processing things. Things are happening in parallel across multiple systems, and it is able to uh, do it without having to type code everything from integration perspective. I feel that if an enterprise does not adopt it, the enterprises or the companies and organizations who are not adopting it, they're kind of slowing themselves down. Or essentially, the enterprises who are adopting it are going at 10x faster than the enterprises who are not.
Right.
Yeah.
As you mentioned, this shift is very new, right? So, until this point, there must have been a lot of enterprises and companies and sectors that have stored their data in like physical storages, for example, files or like literal, cupboards filled with
Yeah.
files.
Yeah.
So, so how
Yeah.
do you think could this shift, affect them? Like, how can they convert that physical data into
Yeah.
something that's feedable into such systems?
I mean, like one thing is the companies, enterprises who are living still in the paper space, uh, they'll have to evolve quickly and digitize things. Otherwise, they'll be losing out because a lot of knowledge is there. But if they're not able to digitize that and leverage the AI construct, then they'll be losing out. Now, it's not just bad news. There are ways to now easily digitize your data, your content, which is on hard paper. And the advancements in done in the foundational model side, like Mistral has great OCR capabilities now. We have built agents for ingestions. In fact, for a particular customer, we are ingesting handwritten documents and are able to convert that into both structured as well as embedded data, which we are able to then converse on. So we are building capabilities, and as I said, agents are almost like autonomous tasks which you can create with certain goals. So we have created ingestion tasks, ingestion agents, which can be consumed for things like handwritten documents, multilingual documents, as well as the standard English-based PDFs or doc files are easy to ingest, anyways. Um, so what I would say is there are ways to quickly ingest your physical documents and make that knowledge accessible to your AI ecosystem. Uh, but if you don't do it, I think the companies who won't get into the digital world will again lack.
Yeah. That sounds interesting. Speaking of multilingual, like just out of curiosity, how many languages does like Initialize support?
So we're continuously working on updating and using models which can support more languages. We have agents and models, and again, we're not building foundational models. There are foundational model work which is being done and is available. So from the platform perspective, you can bring any of those models and use it on a platform. So if there is a multilingual model which supports like most of the languages in the world, then you can use it on our platform, and we can make it available as well on the platform. The ingestion agent which we have built right now, that's kind of we're going language by language, because it's not just about ingesting, but also making sure that it's accurately able to convert that into ingestible text, and especially for handwriting scenarios. These scenarios where you have a Spanish written document, which is a digital document, that's fine. That can be easily converted into and stored in both Spanish as well as converted into English if needed. But when you have handwritten documents in not just English but also in other languages, that's where you have to do a bit more language by language fine tuning of making sure that you're able to accurately extract it.
Really good, like really cool stuff. um, but like, do you think this introduction of assistants can like potentially also create some sort of like AI literacy divide? Because as we can see, it's not just languages or the digitalization part, right? It
Mm-hmm.
would also start creating like that difference between say an employee who's literate in such AI usage and say another who's not. So, do you see this whole shift where, like, even people get like, nudged towards being able to use AI versus not? Like, their skill sets also sort of getting affected. Like,
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that
talked
happens with
along similar lines before, but like,
it happens in every evolution, right? If you
yeah,
think of it, people who will be well versed and who will learn AI would be 10x more productive. They'll have much more better opportunity in the industry as well, and that happens with everything. Like whether you do your primary school or you don't do your primary school, whether you do complete your high school versus you complete your bachelor's versus you go to masters and PhD, any kind of learning is not just about the school versus college versus masters and PhD. Uh, as we evolve and as the industrial evolutions happen, you learn that new skill. And if you don't learn, then as an individual, you lag behind. And I think AI is one of the uh, critical evolution which is happening, which enables individuals who learn to be much more independent on themselves. Right. So, for example, with industrial evolution, when people started learning how to do things like manufacturing, the individuals would learn certain skill set around, say, I can weld, I can build, work on certain type of machines to build cars or things like that. But you're still kind of working as a worker. With the skill of AI and learning AI, you can evolve into, in fact, the entire. I see that humanity will evolve into individual business owners and a thing, or individual entrepreneurs or solo entrepreneurs, because now you would have AI as your workforce, and nobody will be actually doing the job. You would kind of present yourself as an entrepreneur, which can do certain things for you, and the businesses would hire you not as an employee, but as an organization or a company or an entrepreneur to be able to solve the problem. And you would solve that through your AI workers. So eventually, every industry is, or every vertical, every industry can benefit from it. But if you really look at it from the immediate perspective, any organize or any vertical which has a high amount of, you can say, knowledge context, or the context which is huge and becomes really hard to kind of capture that information and accurately and timely act on it, are the first ones, right? For an example, legal verticals. You have ton of different documents around rulings and law and different levels of cases across countries with their own legal proceedings. That's a very high context, high volume industry where there's a high impact which can be immediately felt. Same thing with healthcare. Healthcare has tons of documents, tons of data, which can again act as a very high context, high volume scenario where AI can have a really massive high impact and massive ROI. Customer support is another industry which is, I think, high context, high volume scenario where it could have a high impact. Essentially, eventually, all the industry will be able to leverage AI. I think legal, finance, fintech, supply chain, customer support. These are some of the industries which have immediate high ROI possibilities, and some of the enterprises are already leveraging that.
Are there any like specific examples or like client stories that you can share right now? Like,
One of the things which, as I was saying, that we were doing the ingestion. This is where we're trying to ingest a lot of paper documents. Uh, could be documents which are printed, uh, and we don't like really have the digital version of it, or just handwritten documents, handwritten letters, handwritten communications, correspondences, handwritten diary entries, and things like that. We ingesting those and making that available, and making the entire knowledge context available in the hands of the leadership very quickly, and along with that, you're able to get more insights of what's happening instead of kind of referring through these handwritten construct. Even if you scan all these handwritten construct, and there will be scenarios where digitizing everything at source might not be possible, where like every entry which you're taking has to happen on an iPad or a machine might not be possible at places where the internet connectivity is also not there, or it is really difficult to even use digital solution. Those can be eventually ingested and make available for intelligent analytics. That's one of the things which we are working on, and that kind of led us to also build some of these ingestion agents, which now everybody can consume on our platform.
that's nice. That sounds like a long journey, honestly.
Yeah.
And like, based on all this experience, what would be your advice to say another CTO who's like looking to incorporate agents or assistants or any form of say agentic AI into their workflows? Like,
I mean, like if the CTO is not already started, what I would say is don't start with just LLM. Start with workflows. Start thinking about how do you kind of do end to end workflow uh, driven by AI agents, which autonomously does that for you. So start there. And what I would say is that at this point, AI assistants or agents are not just R&D projects. They're pretty much your next team members who's going to work side by side with you. And in fact, will work even when you're not working. So uh, what I would say is don't treat it as just like an R&D project. Your AI strategy is real only if your assistants run the operations and not just meetings. If you're just using assistants as note taker in your meetings, that strategy is not that real.
kind of makes you wonder, right? That what would be the human input, like, like should the CTO look out for in their employees, like, and how should they like encourage their team to incorporate assistance? Like, this seems simple when you think about it, but like,
Yeah.
at the same time, if, like, how should they go about it?
One of the things which is it's fear of AI isn't a policy, right? It's kind of almost procrastination. At this point, anybody, whether you're a leader or you're an engineer or you're a worker or an employee, fearing AI isn't going to work. You're just procrastinating on the inevitable. So what I would say is learning it is actually going to drive your productivity, your output and outcome, which you're going to provide to your organization as well, and that will make you much more successful. I would say instead of thinking about why I shouldn't do it, think about why not should I do it.
That's really nice. That sounds wonderful and very hopeful. And yeah, definitely not the oh my god, my job is going to be taken by AI kind of vibe that people seem to be having these days. But yeah, see you next time then. Thank you so much today.
Yeah. Thank you, Nakshi. It was great talking to you.
Build on Initialize. Try it today.